Oh, Throne and Liberty. All right, so I wanted to talk about Throne and Liberty because there's actually been quite a interesting bit of information that's come out in the last couple of weeks. I'm actually still really, really upset that I missed out on the technical test because I was invited to the Throne and Liberty technical test, and unfortunately, it was sent to my old email, which I don't check that email often enough. I really need to do something about that. And so I just missed it by by about a week. I checked my email and literally like the day after they shut down the technical test. But so Throne and Liberty did release 2 days ago a launching showcase. There's a bunch of information that's come out that basically says that Throne and Liberty will release probably for Korea in December of this year. And that, I don't know if you guys who are familiar with Throne and Liberty, people who are, people who aren't, when the game first came out, it really looked good. I mean, you watched the trailers, it looked fantastic. You know, the graphics looked really good. The combat was hard to tell by the video what the combat was. It looked okay. There was a lot of features in the game, you know, kind of like castle sieges and big, large scale battles, you know, open world bosses like what we're looking at here. And so it looked cool. And then what happened was they did a beta in Korea, an open beta, I think, and it was just the combat was really, really bad. You were completely locked into place. Like there was no, like it was complete animation locking, meaning that once you start using an ability, you couldn't move. You were stuck in place till that ability finished. Even your auto attacks locked you into place, which is pretty much unheard of in the MMO genre. Like normally when you're auto attacking, you could always move when you're just auto attacking. So you're basically, if you were doing any kind of attack, you couldn't move. Obviously for PvP, this was really a problem because if you were attacking somebody, and you know, for them, all they had to do to get away from you, not to take damage, was just to walk away. Because if they're walking away from you and you're attacking, they move out of range, you can't hit them. So then you've got to move forward to try to catch up to them. But then once you start attacking, you stop moving, and then they just keep moving, and you know, rinse and repeat. Anyway, here's the this was released just a couple days ago. Let's go ahead and watch this. I actually wanted to. There's a couple slides in here, a couple screenshots, or a couple frames that I like. This one, not so much. Whatever. Some characters. I like these kind of cinematic different biome type shots that show the different types of biomes in the game. One thing that Throne of Liberty is a Korean MMO, right? And if you guys have played any Korean MMOs, like, you know, then this really harkens back to like Lineage 2. Throne of Liberty originally was going to be kind of like a Lost Ark type of game, like an action, an action like kind of isometric type game, but they realized they couldn't compete with Lost Ark because Lost Ark was doing so well, so they decided to make it a fully 3D game. But they really were kind of deriving a lot of their game based off of, like, you know, the success of their Lineage franchise. You know, Lineage 2, the Lineage mobile games. There's several different mobile games that Lineage has done, and they've all been very successful. They've actually made, you know, billions of dollars, believe it or not. But anyway, so when you look at these biomes, they remind me a lot of even the way they're laid out. I mean, this looks like something that would be in Lost Ark. Like if you're playing Lost Ark, this looks like a level from Lost Ark. It just does. This not so much. This one here though looks really good. I love that field with the wheat. Very, very cool. And of course, like an open world boss. Another kind of more boss, Castle Siege. Notice how, one thing that's really fun, one thing that's really interesting is if you notice, most of this doesn't really show the combat too much, or when it does, most of the characters are standing still. You know. Now here he's moving. Here he was actually moving. So this video was actually created after they've modified the combat to allow for movement. There's no doubt about that. Kind of interesting. So the worm like regurgitates or pukes up a bunch of larvae that land on people's heads. That's kind of funny. And that's pretty much the end of their video that's promoting the launching showcase, which is going to be 11/2/2023. So that's just a couple weeks away, where they're going to talk about the changes that they've made over the past 4 months and basically the release schedule for, I think, the Korean. So the next video that I wanted to talk about, that I wanted to kind of talk about with Throne of Liberty, was really a video done by Stoopzz. And Stoopzz, I don't know if you guys know Stoopzz. I've watched some of Stoopzz. I actually like Stoopzz. I think he's a really cool guy. Yeah, plus the fact that he looks like my brother. And since my brother passed away, it's kind of a guilty pleasure when I watch him. It's almost like I'm watching my brother, even though my brother's not around anymore. So I think because of that, I kind of like him a little bit more. You know what I mean? But he's a real cool guy. He's very honest in the way he talks about games. And I think what was interesting with Stoopzz is he played in the open beta of Throne and Liberty, but he played obviously before they changed any of the combat systems. So it's really, you can see the pain of him talking about the game, in that he's talking about the game has a lot of promise. Like, there's certain things in the game that are really good, but there's certain things that are so bad that they just ruin the game. And of course, it's the combat is the number one thing, and then the grindy nature of the game. But the grindy aspect of the game, if you guys haven't watched this video, and I'm going to put the video link in the description of this stream, because if you haven't watched this and you are interested in Throne and Liberty, I highly, highly recommend that you watch this video by Stoopzz, because he does a really good job of talking about, I'm putting in the stream description now, Stoopzz. And I'm just going to play some of this, and I think it's really, and talk to some of the points he's making.
No bullshit review of Throne and Liberty. I have been playing this game non-stop since the beta launch, but no meme, I've been diving deep into this game to try to figure out what's up with everything. And as the controversy came out about this game, in some fucked up way, I was more enticed to continue playing because I wanted to just make a video for you guys, and I had planned to make a high production video, something similar to what I've done for other games in the past, like Blue Protocol recently did one. And I just love making those types of videos, those essay style videos, because it's just, I don't post often on this channel. And when I do, I want to make sure it's a high quality video. But for this one, I'm just going to give you guys my thoughts in a natural format. Hopefully you guys are okay with that. But I have a lot to share in this video because I think I've played the game a ton. I'm currently level 22. The date is...
So I wanted to talk about first the screenshot. I mean, this game it reminds me so much of Black Desert Online. But look at the graphics are really good. The water, even at this distance, I like how the water looks on the shoreline. The rocks and stuff aren't super impressive. The user interfaces, it's pretty interesting. It's not horrible. The game was definitely created for... It was definitely created off of the success of the Lineage mobile games, and there's actually a part of this video where Stoopzz actually talks about that, and it was actually really, let's see if I can find it. This is it right here, and it actually really made a lot of sense.
I can bet you that it took $1.2 billion in revenue.
So in this section, he calls, what is it? He calls mobile game and profits. He starts talking about how, Lineage M, released in 2017, was the highest grossing mobile game in the series. It generated $4.2 billion. So a mobile game, Lineage M, it's just amazing that a mobile game could generate $4.2 billion. Okay, Lineage 2M, $1.7 billion. And Lineage W, $1.06 billion, right? So in total, you're talking almost $7 billion they've made off these mobile games. So what Stoopzz is saying here is basically, it looked like they basically said, well, look at the success of these mobile games. Let's create, there's a helicopter outside my window. Let's create these games for a game for the PC, but basically kind of keep the same formula of the mobile game. So the one thing they kept from the mobile game, which they shouldn't have kept, was the combat. So watch this.
Lineage 2M at $1.7 billion and Lineage W at just over $1 billion. And if you look at Diablo 3, right, Blizzard doesn't usually release this type of stuff, but you can kind of get an idea. Diablo 3 is on the fast a lot more. What I also wanted to show you, the gameplay of this game. So
what's funny is when you look at this, if any of you have ever played the game Lineage 2, which I have, This looks a lot like Lineage 2. Even the graphics even look almost like they came from Lineage 2. They're not that far off, right? This is a mobile game though, but it looks a lot like Lineage 2. But look, it's got auto hunt and not in the combat's very like locked in place.
Look at this. I mean, I've been playing this game, Throne and Liberty a lot. I mean, this is pretty much. This is pretty much. By the way, those weapons exist in Throne and Liberty. I've used them for a bit. So it makes it even more hilarious. But that is pretty much what your farming or auto farm experience and combat experience will look like in this game. But they've basically added more PC-like features, or like, I would say, complexity, and it's visually better. And I know a lot. Why wouldn't they just release this on mobile or market it as a mobile game? The reality is, and what at least my theory behind.
And what's really interesting about this video is that this video was from a while ago, right? So this video was from 4 months ago. So when Stoopzz did this video, he had no idea that they were going to modify the combat to try to address some of the issues that the feedback had for the game, which was that the combat was just god awful. And so this video is really interesting because he's trying to guess as to why did they make a game with combat this bad. And what he's saying is that they already had these mobile titles that were making billions of dollars. And so he's saying, well, maybe they just wanted to make a mobile game for the PC with better graphics, basically. So basically make another mobile game, but let's just do it with better graphics.
I know a lot. Why wouldn't they just release this on mobile or market it as a mobile game? The reality is, and what at least my theory behind this is, guys, is I don't think this combat system was a mistake. I don't think this was. I don't think this was rushed, or they were being lazy. What I think is, guys, is this is NCSoft's attempt to tap into the PC.
But as he's talking, just look at the world. Look how nice the world looks. Now, I think Black Desert looks a little better, personally, but this world graphically looks very good.
PC and console gamer market for two reasons.
I mean, the animations, the run cycle, the run animation looks pretty good. The cloth dynamics, the stuff moving around with the body, it all looks pretty good.
It's made for people that play mobile games and would like to have a PC exclusive type game that has mobile-like features but has the maybe visual fidelity and graphics of a PC title. Or B, it is made for people that may not know that they like PC games, or mobile games rather. They may not know they like mobile games, and they want to see if they can tap into that market and get some of those people to dabble in the game and see what they think. If I'm wrong on this, and they do want feedback, and they do want, which I don't think I am, but if I am wrong, and they really want to, grasp that PC enthusiast MMO market that has been waiting for a really fun MMORPG, they need to do a lot to change it.
And it's funny, he says he doesn't think that they will. He says, but if they are interested in changing it, there's a lot of things they need to do to change it. It's really funny because they were interested in changing it because the feedback was so bad that I think they realized no one's going to play this game on PC. Like no one's like. The thing is, you can't take a game that's basically a mobile game and just say, well, I'm just going to throw it out there on the PC. People are going to be like, well, if I wanted to play a mobile game, I'd play a mobile game, right? When I play PC games, I want to play a game that has some, PC polish to it, some PC power, baby. I don't want to have like auto combat and like auto hunt features. People do that on mobile because let's just face it, doing combat on a phone is not going to be as fun as doing combat sitting at a computer with a keyboard and mouse.
The first thing is it's tab target fine, but allow us to at least have some movement in our skills.
And so it's funny, he talks about what they need to do to fix it, which is exactly what they have done. And the other thing, and I kind of skipped forward in the video, but what he's going to talk about is, and we may go back and watch that a little bit, what he's going to talk about is your skills with your abilities. You unlock other skills by using your weapon. So, but it's really grindy. So he basically used the auto hunt feature of this game where you can basically tell your character to auto hunt and literally walk away from a computer. Like just walk away from a computer for hours on end And he said most of the times, he said every time he comes back, the character's usually dead because what happens is there's world events that occur and they're random events and they happen in different zones. So eventually an event will occur in your zone that you're auto hunting in that flips the zone and toggles it to a PvP enabled zone, meaning that anybody can just walk by and kill you. And people love to walk by and kill all the people that are auto hunting. So he said almost every time that he would set to auto hunt, his character would sit there and auto hunt for however long it was until the zone got flipped to like a PvP event type thing, and then his character would end up getting killed. But the point is, he might auto hunt for like 4 or 5 hours straight, and his skill would only level up a little bit. So grinding your abilities up and unlocking later stages or new abilities is incredibly grindy. In fact, he said at level like 20 or 22, he played the game all day and he only got like maybe half a level, which to me is, I played Lineage 2, so I know what it's like to grind. So I'm like, a lot of the stuff he's saying doesn't bother me. I don't mind a grind. But of course, I don't like the grind. If you're gonna have a grind, you have to have good combat. Like Black Desert's very grindy at high levels, but the combat's amazing, and so that really kind of gets. And then plus, there's other things in Black Desert you can do.
Allow us to move while auto attacking for specific weapon types, get rid of the auto farm, but then you have to adjust all of the XP required.
Yeah, so here he's saying get rid of the auto farm, and the reason that the XP requirements, like he's going to say, are so steep is that because you can get the XP while not even being at your computer. Your computer's playing itself. But if you take away the autoplay, you can't expect a person to sit there at a computer 24/7 for weeks on end just trying to level up one skill. So you've got to reduce the amount of XP it takes to level up your abilities. And I've watched a couple of videos. I watched one by Jay Evenly. I don't know if you guys have seen Jay Evenly. He does a lot of videos on Throne and Liberty, and he talks about that in the technical test. And again, this video was done 4 months ago, so Stoopzz at this point wasn't aware. The technical test hadn't happened, but the technical test has happened now. And from what we've seen, you're going to get skills a lot faster than you did previously. So some of the stuff that Stoopzz is saying they need to fix, they did fix. And in fact, I wanted to jump to another video. Let's finish this real quick.
And all of these progression systems that require an.
So here's the progression systems, and you can see you can see the weapon mastery skill. This bar moves incredibly slowly before they made the adjustments to Throne of Liberty, but now apparently it's going to be quicker.
Insane amount of grinding to bring those down, because there is no way that even with a tab, I mean, I don't even want to really, I can play BDO here and there for sure because it's a fun game for the world and the environment and the combat, but I'm not, the biggest enthusiast of grinding games. And that combat system in BDO is insane. To grind that amount of mobs with a tab target style system that's close to this, I mean, you need to adjust.
But look at the graphics of the game are pretty good. I don't think they're as good as BDO, but they're really good. If you look at here,
system that's close to this.
When he zooms in, I mean, look at the bow. The bow looks pretty cool. It's got some metal pieces. It's got some detail on the wood. It's got detail. I mean, it's really a really nice model. The quiver is pretty nice. I mean, there's some pretty good detail.
I mean, you need to adjust all of that. The experience required, how much it takes to level up your mastery, buff the material drops. They've got to do some work there. And I don't even want to get into the monetization because honestly,
it's a Korean game.
I mean, it really goes without saying.
It's going to be monetized.
It's a free-to-play MMORPG.
Yeah.
The current version that I'm playing has pay-to-win-like features for sure. The marketplace and how it works and the exchange. It's very similar to Lost Ark, to be honest, plus some other quality of life stuff. But without saying all of that.
So Stoopzz, I really like Stoopzz video. If you guys are interested in Throne and Liberty, this video from 4 months ago, before they made any of the changes to the game, he really talks about what doesn't work. But what's really interesting is he talks about things in the game that are really good. Check this out.
And another really good system in the game is the crafting. The crafting in this game is so good because you craft everything, right? You literally craft everything in the game. There is some like RNG with some of it later on, but overall, they did a pretty good job with that. If I go here to the armor crafter, these are all of the helmets that you can craft. And all these helmets have different stat combinations where they give you mana regen, cooldown speed, perception, which is
Reminds me
your
of New World.
range
Reminds me of
damage,
New World.
dexterity, which is your crit. There's set bonuses on them.
Set
I mean, there's
bonuses.
so many, right, that you can go through, and they all look cool. You know what I mean? Like, this is just the chess pieces. The same goes for your weapons. And then even these materials that you need, all of these are acquired through those mission boards or out in the world when you're auto farming. Additionally, there's also this crafting book where
So basically, there's a lot of great systems in Throne of Liberty, but the problem was the combat. So if we go to now, if we go to Ginger's video, Ginger Prime, who I'm not a huge fan of Ginger Prime. He's okay. I like Stoopzz a lot better. But the reason I want to show you this video is because there's some different views of the world, and I just wanted to talk about the graphics of the game. You know, this, you know, you can see Stepperoo got into the technical test. I was invited to the technical test, but I didn't catch the email because I was like, you know, not paying attention because I just didn't know that they were sending out the invites at that point in time, and I actually missed the invite by like a week. And I was so mad because I would have loved to have gotten into the technical test, and it was under NDA, so I wouldn't have been able to show any footage or anything. But I really would have loved to have played it. So I was really bummed about that.
Of the day, I'm not surprised by it. I believe in being as honest as possible, and that does keep me out of the access.
Okay, so what's really funny about that is he's talking about how he didn't get invited to the technical test. This is really funny. So here you have a YouTuber with 75,000 subscribers who didn't get invited to the technical test, and yet me, who has a whopping 2.8 thousand subscribers, did get invited to the technical test. Hilarious.
I believe in being as honest as possible, and that does keep me out of the access media loop because I tend to rub people the wrong way.
And he's saying that when he does reviews, he's very honest, and he thinks that they didn't invite him because he's too honest. They might give some bad feedback. I don't really agree with that. I think a lot of times that these invites are pretty random. I don't think they're looking at every specific person under a magnifying glass to say, is this person a good person for our test? I think a lot of it's just pretty random, you know. I mean, some of it could be like, I honestly feel like I got invited just because I'm an Amazon content creator. Like, I've been a part of the content creation program for Amazon for a long time, and you gotta realize this is being published under Amazon, so it just seems logical that they probably would target people that are, you know, Amazon game content creators or have been content creators for other Amazon games. Maybe, I don't know. I thought maybe that's why I was probably invited, but.
And I got a lot of direct messages last time that I was breaking Throne Liberty News about like, hey, don't do that. But, you know, with all due respect, they're going to play their game, and I'm going to make content here for you guys today. So there's been lots of public.
But the reason I'm going to show this video is because there's a lot of really good just views of the world. You really get to see what the world looks like.
Being made about
you can see that the plants, everything look great. The monsters look cool.
Of the game.
The animations are pretty good.
I thought I'd spend some time today to go over what people are saying and give guys my thoughts. Now, I've also seen a lot of pride.
Also, we get to see in Throne of Liberty, you have the different types of forms. You can shapeshift into like a wolf. When you're on land for like faster travel, you can also fly. You can also shapeshift into like some sort of fish, so you can swim through waters faster. So here you can see, we're shapeshifted into a wolf.
Protect DMs. I always protect sources. That's a key aspect of what I want to do here at the channel. And so I won't be showing any of that. So if you are one of the people who are watching it.
Now Stepperoo's out of the wolf form and in humanoid form, and now he's going to use his grappling hook.
DM me. Don't worry. You're safe. However,
there's the grappling
if you're
hook.
Watching this and you've been leaving.
And again, look at the detail. I am pretty impressed with the detail.
Don't worry.
Like, the flowers are pretty good. And again,
safe.
this is NCSoft. So NCSoft makes a lot of MMOs, so they have a huge library of art assets, so it's probably pretty easy for them to whip art assets together for their games.
However, if you're watching this and you've been leaving public comments on the
great detail on the ground, the leaves,
welcome, guys,
grass,
you made it public, so we're
the
gonna
wood,
the
lumber, everything on
dive in with
just really good detail on the ground here.
Saying I played in the tech test.
Now, this is interesting. He's looking at some of the comments where people were talking about the people who did play in the tech test. This guy says he played the tech test, and all they have to do is not make it pay to win and fix performance, because the Castle Siege's world boss were like. So that's one of my, in NCSoft is traditionally, like historically, in Lineage 2, it had huge Castle Sieges, and they were laggy as hell. But you got to realize that was back in 2000. Computers are a lot faster now. The internet's a lot faster now, so you would think that wouldn't be as big an issue, but they're saying right here that it was laggy, and also Stoopzz video was saying that of course he's playing from the United States, and through like a VPN over into Korea, so of course you would expect there to be some lag. But Stoops made the comment that, hey, I've played lots of games. I've played Lost Ark, the Korean Lost Ark from the United States, and I never experienced that kind of lag. So there definitely is some performance issues with Throne of Liberty, because we've seen multiple people talk about it. So definitely a concern. And again, I think it's always a concern with NCSoft games because they always seem to have issues. Now, I will say one thing, and that's that Lost Ark had a lot of issues when it first came to the West. Had a lot of these types of issues, but they were pretty much solved. They fixed them, so that's at least somewhat encouraging.
All they have to do now is not make it pay to win and fix performance because the castle sieges and world bosses fights were as laggy as hell. If these issues are fixed, Throne of Liberty will rule the world. So, first and foremost, I think this is going to be interesting because I want to bring in the next comment to kind of marry these two ideas together. The Ruby says, I really
The
hope
Ruby
that this
Rose
game will be my game. When it was first announced last year, it was going to be my game. But then I saw the gameplay earlier this year.
Autoplay, ugh.
No way. So I went into other games. Now I wait for this to be my game. The my game aspect is such an interesting perspective because
I really like the art style here. I love the way they did these trees with the roots and how it's kind of like someone built this like building, like these structures right in the middle of like a forest. I love how these roots are curling up on the wood here. So really, I really like it. I really like the art style here.
that is true for a very small minority of gamers. And what I mean by that to say is not to say that they're small or not important, but it's to say that they just don't.
And you can see the quest here is teaching him how to shapeshift. So you can glide too, be brave and jump. So it's actually teaching you how to use your travel forms.
Represent what the data represents. And if you go and you just analyze, we've talked about this on the channel numerous times, I'm not going to relitigate it, but when you look at the data, most people play MMOs as nomads. The ever-growing presence of the nomad MMO.
Yeah, it's pretty true, like in today's world, because no MMOs have really been that good. And so people just go from MMO to MMO. And in fact, a lot of people go between the same 2 or 3 MMOs all the time. And I've fallen victim to that. I play WoW, and then I go play Guild Wars 2 for a couple weeks. Then there's one point in time where I went and played Final Fantasy for like a month. Then I went and played something else like Elder Scrolls Online I always go back to World of Warcraft because that's the one I have the most fun in. But I'm certainly looking for a new MMO. And I think Throne of Liberty, it reminds me a lot of Lost Ark. And I know NCSoft really well because I've played a lot of NCSoft games. I've played Lineage 2. I've played Ion. I played WildStar for the short amount of time that it was out. I've played Lost Ark. I've played a lot of, although I'm not sure if Lost Ark was NCSoft. I think it was. I've played a lot of their games, and I know kind of how they do the pay to win. I know how they do. I know how their games typically run, like what kind of engines that they've created for their games. And the one thing that they always do a good job is they always have a lot of content. NCSoft games always have a plethora of content. They always have really beautiful worlds, and they're always pretty good. They run pretty well. Not great, but they tend to run pretty well. But they always tend to be, pay to win and have a lot of that kind of RNG mechanics as well. So, but the thing is, the marketplace, the landscape for MMOs right now is so poor that if they do a good job of fixing the combat in this game, and they do a good job of rescaling the skills and stuff, so that the curve of learning new abilities and getting abilities as you level up is more friendly than it was previously, then I think this game has a chance to be fairly successful. I don't know how successful, and that really depends on the staying power and that the game doesn't become repetitive. I mean, the thing that kills MMOs a lot of times is they just, like, if you look at like Diablo 4, you get this game loop where it's just basically rinse and repeat doing the same thing. Lost Ark to a degree as well, where it's a lot of just repetitive content.
Population has increased, and I think that is what drives the mindset of looking for the my game. And it's true because we used to have that. There used to be your game.
Everybody wants to have the one game. Nobody wants to go from game to game. I mean, I think it's really funny that this character he's going up to fight is called a Tauren Orc Warrior. Tauren Orc, like World of Warcraft, Tauren and Orc are 2 different types of races. It's almost like they did it on purpose just to make a joke. It's a Tauren orc warrior. But nobody wants to jump from MMO to MMO. We all wish we had just one MMO that was super fun because we don't want to waste our valuable real world time spreading it between, at least I know I don't. I don't want to waste my valuable time spreading it between different games. I want to just play one game and have fun playing that one game and progress. And I don't want to feel like I'm losing all my progression. You know, I don't want to feel like I spent 6 months playing a game. That's the one thing with World of Warcraft that has irritated me a lot over the past 3 or 4 years. And that's the fact that I keep jumping around and playing different versions of the game. But I was like, man, if I could just play one version and really have fun in that one version, then all my progression, all the time spent would be just in that one. Like when I was playing on one of my accounts, you know, today, and I've got, for example, like Grobulus, right? Like on Grobulus, I've got a bunch of characters, but I stopped playing World of Warcraft Classic on Grobulus for a long time, like 2 years. But I came back and I was like, man, look at all this shit I have on Grobulus. I have like 6 characters. I've got like characters that are level 60. I had another character that was like level 65. I had a priest that was like 280 enchanting and almost 300 tailoring, and she was only level like 39. You know, I've got a 39 twink rogue. I mean, I'm like, I've done a lot of stuff on Grobulus, and I hadn't even played it in like 2 years. Just think if I hadn't, think if I'd played the entire time, those 2 years on Grobulus, how much more progressed all those characters would have been. So, you know, I don't think anybody wants to jump around. We prefer to just stick in one server with one game and see all that progress being made.
To any number of reasons on the planet, that is either still true to this day, or you look and you wonder if that will ever happen again.
This is what the combat was, though. The combat was like this, where you go in and you're just locked in place. You can't move. Like when you're attacking, you're not moving.
And I do have hope that I think essentially a game connects with you and you connect into it and you just play it for years on end. But ultimately, what we see with the overall, seasonal model and in the content model with the
you see not moving, standing still the entire time.
People end up just kind of dipping in and dipping out and playing other things, and ultimately, even if we're not.
And I don't want to watch the rest of this video. I don't really care for his.
And ultimately,
I don't really care for Ginger Prime that much. I just was showing that because I liked that you could see a lot of the different graphics of the game. Now, another video I wanted to show you, I think it was Jay Evenly, and he's pretty much exclusively just done Throne of Liberty content. I think that's his name. Yeah, this guy. Throne of Liberty is coming soon. Throne of Liberty's changes are quite incredible.
And combination combat footage, and that's looking much better. Now I'm not gonna.
So the reason I wanted to show you this video is he talks about this is some combat footage after they've made adjustments to the combat so that it's not locked in place anymore. That you have some movement with your character.
20 seconds worth of combat footage, and that's looking much better. Now I'm not going to analyze the content of the video like incessantly, right? It's about 17 seconds worth of combat footage, and the main thing basically is to show you that it's been updated. The reason we all didn't really like it in the May test was because it was very static and it wasn't very interesting at all. However, this footage is showing something sort of a little bit different. Now, I'm also aware that there is an NDA technical test going on that's in NA. Obviously, if I was in that, nothing could be shared because it's literally under an NDA, that kind of stuff. So you can't really talk about it even if you wanted to. I haven't seen any information leaked from that, but...
So what he's trying to say is basically what he's saying is this is not the NDA. Once again, I was invited to the technical test, and I'm an idiot and didn't check my email, and I missed the email. So, in fact, it's funny. If you go... Actually, I was able to. Like, we go to Steam. What are you doing over there, Ra-Ra? Ra-Ra, what are you doing? Stay out of my guitar amp. Don't stick your dirty paws in the back of my guitar amp. Ra, you leave my guitar amp alone, or I'm going to come over there and smack you. So... you can see that I actually have Throne of Liberty technical test right here. Time played 12 minutes. Because actually one time, even after they had shut down the Throne of Liberty technical test, I was able to install it. And I was actually able to launch it and see like the beginning cutscene, which I must say was really good. And actually Stoopzz talks about that in his video. What he talks about is that the story, the MSQ, the main story quest line in Throne of Liberty, he says it's really good. He's like, wow, it's really good. He says almost all the cutscenes are really well done. And he says most of the cutscenes are all voice animated. So that's a good thing. So we know for a fact that Throne of Liberty has a good story, which is, a lot of times these games don't. So if we try to launch Throne of Liberty, what happens is it starts to launch and I think it just crashes. Like you can see it'll start to launch. But it just like crashes. which is kind of sad because I thought I was hoping I'd always be able to at least launch it and you could see the kind of the opening cinematic, but I don't think it even does it anymore. I think it just crashes. TL Heroes. It does say Unreal Engine 4, which kind of scares me. We would hope. Ooh, wait a minute. We would have hoped it would have been. Yeah, Steam account verification failed. Ooh, Steam account verification failed. So they must have a date time stamp on it because before it didn't say that. So now it says that so they basically disabled anything to be launched from Steam probably at this point in time. So that's what happened. Now on the community hub, there wasn't a lot of feedback. I kind of went here hoping to get some feedback from the technical test, people saying stuff. But if you go to the discussion section, there's not a whole lot. There's just apparently I got a beta invite for the tech test that ended on October 3rd, but I did not see it until the morning. That's me too. That's exactly what happened to me. I missed it by a couple days. If you get accepted in the test, you will be automatically be invited to future tests. Just keep an eye on the email. So yeah, so we will hopefully get invited to some of the future tests because I was accepted to the other one. Yeah, but in the general discussions, there just wasn't a whole lot. There's a wholly complicated game. Let's see what this says. I must be getting too old for this or something, but this game is overly complicated. So many menus, submenus, tabs, skills variations, weapon upgrading procedures, etc. It's just overwhelming. And what fun it is finding out you missed out so many things simply because you couldn't figure out how to navigate all the menus. This just sounds like an older person. All Korean MMOs are usually like this, unfortunately. So I agree. I agree that these MMOs, Korean MMOs, can be can be complicated. So that is very true. And let's see what else we got. PvP in this game is just a stat check. Yeah, again, I feel like that's a lot of Korean MMOs where it's basically just your gear, like people in PvP win. So in general, though, like that happens in a lot of MMOs where PvP is decided a lot more oftentimes by gear than by skill. Like if you had to really think about it, is there any MMO you've ever played where you went in there with like severely worse gear than the other person and you were able to win? Like there are games that are like that, and I'll point one out, but it's not that easy. Terra was one of those games. Like you could go into Terra. Like I was a really good warrior in Terra, right? And I could go into Terra, and I used to go to the Poparilla town, whatever the town was called, start with a P, Poparillon or something, and I would stand outside that town and I would fight people. People would come out. It was like PvP zone, right? I would stand out there and I would just fight people. And people would try to gang out me. And a lot of times I'd be fighting people that were 3, 4, 5 levels higher than me, and I'd still beat them. And then there were times when I get 2 people on me, and I'd do 2v1s where I was winning. And oftentimes these people were higher level. That's because there was a lot of outplay potential in Terra based on movement. Because it wasn't auto, it wasn't like guaranteed. It's like World of Warcraft, if you cast a frostbolt, you're going to hit. I mean, that really takes away a lot of the skill elements, because you don't miss. I mean, you might miss, but 9 times out of 10, if you're casting spells at somebody, you hit them. Whereas in Terra, it's not like that. You actually have to aim a lot of your abilities. There are a few lock-on abilities, but a lot of this, most of the melee for sure, is you have to actually connect, which is great, So this game sounds like that's not going to be the case. How to remove Amazon one thing, time to wait for the next test. Oh, what is this? Oh, wait. Let's see. Oh, I'm not. We're probably okay. Oh yeah. They got me. They're trolling me. I figured they were. Special offer. No, we don't want this. We don't want no stinking special offer. Let's go back to general discussion. Feedback. Let's see if there's a feedback. See, like anyone know where we are supposed to leave feedback? Yeah, a lot of people said there's really nothing. It says on Discord. Let's go to the Discord. If you guys haven't, and I don't know if the Discord's open for everybody. I think it probably is now. I think when the test came out that maybe Throne of Liberty Discord wasn't, but I'm pretty sure it's open to anybody. And again, I'll try to put let's see if we can invite, I'll copy the link and put this in the stream as well. If you guys haven't got on the Throne of Liberty Discord, see if you can go ahead and use this link to do so. Discord link, putting this in the description. Okay, so if you go here, actually, let's see, I said December for Korea. Guys, when is official launch? Someone asked the same question above. People say this question. Yeah, next month. Yeah, but it's Korea. So here's the Throne of Liberty Discord. There's not a whole lot going on, but they do have an announcements section that's pretty useful. You can see here they've got they're talking about the wiki's ready. There's an interactive map, which I don't think it's working yet. I think I tried to go to this. Yeah, see, it's not up yet. And then there's also a community survey, which I haven't really got into this survey yet. It looks like we do have a survey up, so Throne of Liberty, yeah, but it's no longer accepting responses. And then, but anyways, there's a few things on here. Some news. They talked about the showcase too. These are some of the statistics from the last technical test. And total PvP kills, total NPC kills 3 million, most killed NPC, most killed world bosses, and so highest level, fastest kill. So some interesting statistics from the technical test that they did. And let's get out of here. And I wanted to go back to Jay's video, which is this one.
Everything we're going to talk about here is information provided to us from the devs themselves. Now, I will quickly just talk about the combat footage. Most of it looks like there is the sort of two things. One, you can move an auto attack, which is obviously fantastic. Two, it looks like some abilities do root you in place, but then there are other abilities where you are not rooted. So there's some ways like moving sideways and shooting, and there's some where you sort of have to stop to do the ability. I think that's completely fine. Very similar to sort of like WoW.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, a lot of games have, even like Terra had that, where you have basically what we call animation cancels, or basically, locked in animations, where if you have a certain animation, you're going to be locked in until the animation finishes. The one thing that's nice about really breaking out of that or making that not so painful is to allow for an animation cancel, which is usually some sort of a dodge roll. Like if you watch in this particular scene here,
moving sideways and shooting, and there's some
you're going to see he's going to dodge. See that little dodge he did to the side? So if that dodge to the side would break out of a locked animation, like any locked animation, then that really makes the game feel less restrictive. Because if you're in a PvP situation and you're like, you've got an ability that does a lot of damage, but it locks you in place for like 2 seconds until you complete that ability, there's going to be a lot of times when PvP where you're not going to want to use that ability because you don't want to be locked in place that long. Or if somebody else comes over and throws some big spell at you, you might want to be able to dodge out of the way. So that would be a big question I have, is can you break out of those animations?
Like WoW, obviously,
so
PvP was done in an area that was flagged up for PvP, and you sort of knew it was coming. I'm not sure if that's now not the case, or if it is the case, or if the amount of zones that are getting flagged up has been, considering how long it took me to get there. They've changed some stuff with the stats and the weapons. I don't really fully understand the detail of what they're talking about here, but basically they're trying to.
But anyways, I think we'll find out more information pretty soon. On November 2nd, they're going to have more information about the game, about what's changed, about what they've adjusted over the last 4 months. So I'm actually really looking forward to that.
I will automatically level up. I think that's because there was I can't remember if there was a system to upgrade the skills or what have you, but they weren't very quick and it didn't feel very satisfying. And now they're just sort of changing it. I think they're sort of taking away some of the tedium and trying to bring in more of the fun. And then in the second producer's update, the letter that they had, they speak mostly about content. So they talk about how there's world bosses, how there's sieges, how there's the PvP dungeons and that kind of thing.
Well, we just hope there's no
lag.
Screenshots.
They show like
we hope that it runs well.
Eye thing. It sort of reminds me of the one from D&D, which I can't remember the name of, except it's got like tentacles and shoots like purple lightning. They speak about some of the other bosses that are in the world. The archboss Tevant, yeah, I think was in the beta, but I can't really remember it myself. They also show some screenshots of the world, which quite frankly look incredibly beautiful. The game, from what I remember from Melee...
This is what he was talking about. He's like, oh, it reminds me of D&D. Yeah, it's a beholder.
I have some of the footage recorded, right? But you're looking at like compressed versions, and obviously I was playing with a little bit of lag because I was on that Korean hotel Wi-Fi. The game looks beautiful, and I think it's only going to look better and better as they progress now. I suspect the team that's working on graphics can pretty much just keep doing that, whilst the people who are basically working on content are doing something else, mainly the combat. The huge thing that they've announced basically in this though is the fact there are going to be 6-person dungeons that are actually instant. So they have
some really nice concept art.
Have open world dungeons, but basically that's a free-for-all, and it was a PvP zone. I don't know if it still is a PvP zone. And do you know what? I didn't even sort of realize that the first time we went through. It didn't spring to my mind that they just didn't have normal instance content. And it's a little bit weird that because they had like these guild raids and they had like the solo sort of like bosses in this Tadal's Tower, but they didn't really have consistent group content, classic healer, tank, damage, that kind of thing. But now they do. And they give a few details. They talk about how there's going to be like a breakthrough section they refer to, which I think is basically how you get in. It's sort of like trash mobs in a way, but there's going to have like interesting puzzles.
Interesting. So there's a lot of content out there for Throne of Liberty. I kind of was going through different videos trying to get a feel for it. And because I thought Throne of Liberty looked interesting in the beginning, but then I saw what the combat was like, and then I saw the autoplay, and I was like, well, I don't want to play this. But now they've removed the autoplay. They supposedly have kind of fixed the combat. Now, I read the letter from the developer, and actually that letter is covered on Ginger Prime's video. He actually goes through it. Actually, there's a better way to go through that letter, and I think it is on the actual official Discord. If you go here, go to announcements, I think it's, let's see. Jay, if you're looking to get first-hand gameplay footage, don't really check out the streamers and streaming the beta when it goes live in less than 40 minutes. Oh shit, this was a while ago. That was a while ago. But there was one thing in here where they had it. I think this might be it. Where they had a translated version of it. Yeah, this is it. So this one's here where they say the announcement comes from a new letter from the producer, which is Ong John Ok. Gives us some context and tells us what to expect from the showcase. So the showcase is November 2nd. Yeah, this is a better translation than what Ginger Prime was doing. He says after the showcase, we'll begin preparations to meet you in earnest. A stage at G-Star is also scheduled. We'd like to take the time to show you the content that has not been released yet. It's going to be a really busy day as our goal is to launch in December. So they're saying that for Korean launch is December. Although the thing that Ginger went through was that basically the guy who did that letter, who released that letter, he says in the letter that they didn't, that he's basically apologizing that they didn't get a chance to like fix the game's combat as to a point where they really wanted to get it to, but that was going to be an ongoing process. So hopefully that's not just, smoke and mirrors. So basically what he's saying is we're going to release the game in December with combat that's going to be a lot less restrictive, but that we're hoping to continually improve upon the combat in the future. So hopefully that's true. So that was an encouraging thing to read, but you guys know that when these MMO developers say stuff, we never know if they're going to follow through on it. I mean, how many times have we heard developers come out with games and say it's never going to have pay to win, and then 2 months after launch it's got pay to win. I haven't watched this video, but I already kind of went through the stats.
Hello everyone, and I've been following.
So
It looks at least, and we greatly appreciate your help on this journey. We know that not everyone who signed up and was selected this time around, but we're excited to share a glimpse of into some changes as a direct result of the feedback. Now they say they look forward to inviting more players into Celestium to begin their own
Hey Ryan, what's up? How you been, Ryan? You played Norwell a little while back? Oh, did we? Yeah, but I don't even remember, man. Ryan, I forget. I'm really bad with people's names, but that's cool, dude. Yeah, I've been playing WoW just because I'm waiting for something more exciting to play. You know what I mean? I was just looking at Throne of Liberty here, which I think could be interesting. I don't think it's going to be great, but I think it'll be, as long as the combat's much improved, I think it could be fun, and as long as it's not laggy on the big boss fights, I think it could be pretty cool. But yeah, what I'm doing right now with WoW, let's close all this stuff down, is I'm just leveling up a Warlock in Wrath of the Lich King Classic. But yeah, I really want a new MMO to play. I mean, anybody who's watched me stream over the last couple months can tell that I'm kind of bored of WoW. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay. My wife has been having a lot of medical issues, but that's another topic for another time, I guess. There's not much I can do about that. We're doing what we can for her. But yeah, I've been leveling up, just leveling up a Warlock here for fun on Wrath of Lich King with the goal of, doing some PvP as a Destruction Warlock, which I've never done a Destruction Warlock in Wrath of the Lich King, so I think it'll be pretty cool. But yeah, Throne of Liberty looks cool. Another thing that I was doing today, just because like I said, I was kind of bored of WoW, so I've been trying to look at other things that are coming down the path. I would like to say that I am pretty much sure that I am going to purchase the Ashes of Creation, package that'll allow me to get into the next alpha. I'm probably getting, now it only costs $250 for that particular package, but I'll probably just go ahead and grab the $375 package, which will give me access into the Alpha 2 test phase, which Ashes of Creation has announced that the Alpha 2 test phase will be next year. Now they still obviously haven't released which month or which quarter of next year, but we know 100% that sometime next year we are going to have Alpha 2, and that a lot of the systems are starting to look pretty good. If you guys haven't seen the Ashes of Creation video on the event system, you probably should check it out. It's actually really good. So if I can find it really quick. This one here.
Event as well.
Yeah, for sure. Scott could probably touch on.
There's still some shore. There's
Yeah.
window.
It looks like they're mostly just going for the settlers right now. They're going to be bringing their best.
So you can see here that they basically, you're just walking through the world and you get this kind of wagon of settlers, and you basically defend the wagon versus, and it's called The Hills Have Knives, Prepare for the Final Assault. And so they have these events in Ashes of Creation, similar to kind of Guild Wars 2, but a lot more, I think a lot more advanced. And so this is a system that's going to be fully, well, it's not going to be 100% complete, but it's going to be pretty fleshed out. It's something that you'll...
Especially because we have more players now. So
it's something that we'll be able to play around with in Alpha 2. Hey, what's up, RJ? You're raiding ICC with your guild? Cool, good luck. I already got an uber good trinket and show. Hey, nice. You played Guild Wars 2 for years? Yeah, I played Guild Wars 2 on and off. I like the PvP in Guild Wars 2 a lot, and I've got a level 80 Guardian. I've got 2 level 80 Guardians, I think, in Guild Wars 2. I got a level 80 Guardian who's like a support build that I use in World v World and also in just, Battlegrounds. And I was probably like 6 months ago or 8 months ago. Oh, sorry, I'm tired. Where I played for a couple of weeks just doing Battlegrounds and PvP in Guild Wars 2, and I had a blast. Yeah, I had a blast doing the Battlegrounds. Well, I'm an original founder of Guild Wars 2, so I played all the PvP right when the game first came out. So there's a lot of nostalgia for me in those original maps that exist, and I had a blast playing Guild Wars 2 PvP when it first came out. In fact, it was definitely, if someone asked me what's my favorite PvP, like to rank my best PvP experiences in MMOs, Guild Wars 2 would probably be number 2 in the list. The only game I played PvP in for an MMO that I liked better than Guild Wars 2, well, I would have to say WoW I liked a little bit better, only because the character controller is just better. And then I would also say that Terra PvP, because of the outplay potential of the combat system, was super fun. So I would say Terra and Guild Wars 2 and WoW. I never got a chance to play Dark Age of Camelot, and a lot of people say that Dark Age of Camelot was amazing PvP, but I never got a chance to play it. So, and then also Warhammer Online. The PvP Warhammer Online was a lot of fun too. If you guys have ever played that, that's really fun. So here you get to see they're just getting ready to do the last wave of this event system for Ashes of Creation. So I am going to be purchasing probably this package here, which is the $375 package. This will give me access to the Alpha 2 test phase, and it's also going to give me name reservation. So, well, whatever. We'll see. I think the name I'm going to go with, and I probably shouldn't tell you guys because you'll probably try to steal it from me, but I actually have been enjoying the name Vale because I did a melee hunter to 60 in hardcore named Vale, and I think I'm going to reserve that name, Vael, as my main character name. I've always kind of liked that name. Yeah, I would say that with AOC, I wasn't super... Yeah, I know, someone's going to steal it. I was Vale stolen. There's lots of different names, but, there's different ones that I've used over the years. Shyborn, Cheryl. Of course, I would love to get the name Faith, but it's always taken. And now if I'm doing name reservation, maybe I'll try to snag it, but probably not, because Faith is something I usually use for, like, a healer or something, but... I don't even know what class I'm going to play at Ashes. I haven't really looked at the class combinations lately. But yeah, I'm probably going to buy this package. So you'll definitely be seeing me covering. And I do believe the Alpha 2 is going to not be under an NDA. So I will be able to stream all of that. All of me playing Alpha 2 I should be able to stream, which will be really cool. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. Throne of Liberty as well, I'm definitely planning on playing that. I don't think it's... I mean, to me, Ashes looks the most interesting out of all the MMOs that are coming, but it's also the one that's the closest. There's only a few MMOs that are really... that look like... I think Ashes is probably going to come out in late 2025. Some people may think it's going to be later. I think it'll be... I mean, because they've got a lot of the systems pretty well fleshed out. So I'm hoping that Ashes will launch in 2025, but I don't know, man. For the VEC, yeah, the VEC are cool. I'm hoping it'll come out in 2025, but there's always a chance it doesn't come out until 2026. Hey Ryan, when do you think Ashes will release? I'm saying like November 2025. But we'll see. But other games, we haven't really. Well, the Alpha 2 is next year. Alpha 2, they've already said is 2024, but I mean, we're not that far from next year, right? And this is, we're only 2.5 months from next year, so. Yeah, well, you figure alpha, though. The thing is, they're saying alpha. Typically, you have alpha, then beta, then release. So, but usually you don't have that many alpha phases. Like, I wouldn't think there'd be an alpha 3. Like, usually you have like an alpha 1, maybe an alpha 2, then you have beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, sometimes beta 4, closed betas, and then you have open beta. Like for Terra, for example, Terra had 4. I think they had 3 or 4 closed betas. I know because I was in every single one. And then they had I think an open beta. So it was like closed beta 1, I think it was closed beta 1, 2, 3, and then open beta. So yeah, there's, definitely, a way, I think, but I mean, to me, I would be surprised if they did an Alpha 3, but I mean, it's such a ambitious project. The other thing that I was saying is, one of the things I did is I went back to the Ashes Creation Discord today because at some point in time, I'm probably going to do a lot more coverage. I mean, when one of these games comes out, you won't see me playing World of Warcraft that much. So, if Ashes Creation comes out, you're not going to be seeing me play because I like to play one game at a time. I'm only usually playing one game. I might jump around sometimes, but I'm never going to play I'm not going to log into WoW today and play 3 hours, then go log into Guild Wars 2. I don't typically do that. Typically I'll say, I'll do something, and then if I get bored of a game, then I'll do something else. That's why a lot of times in the past year or two even, I've had a hard time finishing leveling series, or I've had a hard time finishing certain objectives I wanted to do with certain characters, only because I've gotten bored. And if I'm bored, I don't continue playing. I'll always try to come back to that character, but I have a melee hunter who's level 46. I wanted to get to 60, and I just wasn't having fun. It wasn't that I wasn't having fun with the melee hunter. I love the melee hunter. It's just that I was kind of bored of playing World of Warcraft, to be honest. Yeah. Well, I think the Unreal Engine 5, I mean, it may have added some time, but it shouldn't have added too much, because once they get the development pipeline set up for Unreal Engine 5, it's going to be a lot faster. Because Unreal Engine 5 does allow you to do a lot of stuff. A lot of the lighting stuff is just baked. I mean, a lot of the lighting is just baked in. It's right there. You don't really have to do anything. And if you're using, especially when they went to Unreal Engine 5.2, there's some stuff in there that handles the LODs, the level display maps, out of the box. So you don't have to do anything. You're no longer saying, oh, when we're at this distance, we're going to render these textures, and when we get closer to the tree, the bark of the tree gets better quality as you move closer. The Unreal Engine does it. It's the same. It's not swapping out different textures. It's one texture. It's just so good at rendering that when you're further away, it just renders it in a lower quality, but it's still using the same texture. It's still the same texture, man. So Unreal Engine 5 is, even though it might have added some, just getting used to it, and in the long run, it should actually increase the development time, I believe, because it's just a much better game engine. But I went back to the Ashes of Creation video, theory, and I went to videos, right? And I said oldest, and I just started watching the videos in order from when they first came out, and it was actually a pretty interesting experience, right? Let's look at the first Ashes of Creation video ever released, right? And I've watched these before, but I watched them when they came out, so I hadn't watched this video probably in 6 years. This is the very first video Ashes of Creation ever put on their channel. The other thing that's really interesting is some of the music from some of these videos is just music that was freely available on YouTube. So they hadn't licensed any of their own composers yet. So they literally just grabbed stuff that was copyright free off YouTube and just threw it in the background of there. And I'll point one of those out. But you can tell this is not Unreal Engine 5. You can tell mostly by the trees. You can really tell that this is not Unreal Engine 5 because these trees are so much, the leaves and the bark, it's a much lower quality than what you'd have in Unreal Engine 5. The one thing that Ashes of Creation does, especially after I watched some of these videos today, the one thing that they do really well, I need to change the description of my, we're going to see Throne of Liberty and Ashes of Creation. Where do we stand? The one thing they do really well, and I thought about this earlier today. Yeah, it's very ambitious. But I think it's one of the projects that I'm starting to have the most faith in, actually seeing a product that not only will come out, but the reason I have faith in Ashes is because I've seen some of the stuff they've come out with that I've really disliked, and I've seen them change it. I've seen them get feedback that obviously there were people saying they probably felt the same way as me. I didn't personally give them feedback, but somebody must have, because the things that I didn't like, they changed and took those things out of the game. So they're definitely listening to the community. There's no doubt about that. So there's been a lot of things that they've done that I didn't like, and most of those things they've changed. They've gotten rid of. So, but one of the things I was thinking about earlier today is like World of Warcraft is an old game, and Vanilla WoW is a very old game, and the graphics in Vanilla WoW aren't that great if you want to be really honest. But why is it that we go into World of Warcraft and we move through certain zones and we still feel that it looks good? Why is that? And I can even give you an example. And the reason that is I feel is that the zones in WoW, and I've seen this in other games too, but the zones in WoW have their own kind of colors and lighting. So like each zone has kind of like an identifying like color palette. If you're thinking about painting a painting and you go into this one zone, you're going to say, well, I'm only going to use for this zone purple, red, and orange, right? So that's going to make sure that everything that's textured in that zone and all the colors that fall into those three colors. And of course, you're going to get a certain look. Now, I'll show you how World of Warcraft definitely does that. And some MMOs don't really do a good job of this, surprisingly. Because if we go into the hardcore Discord here in the back of the box, I post a lot of images in this channel, right? This is called the back of the box from the classic World of Warcraft hardcore Discord. And I can just go back and look at some of the images I've posted, and you can see in these images the differences. Let's take a look at, I posted this image. This is in just swimming through Stranglethorn Vale. Look at the colors that are used in that image. Look at the difference between this image in Stranglethorn Vale and this image, which is one of my all-time favorite zones in World of Warcraft, which is Darkshore. The colors are much more gray and drab and rainy, but same thing here. And this is also in Darkshore, but look at, of course, the vibrance of the colors because I'm using reshade. But you can see that the color palette is definitely different than something that you would get in this one, which is Westfall. So Blizzard did a really good job. World of Warcraft does a great job of setting up a specific feel and look for each zone based on really the colors. And again, this is the Shimmering Flats. I mean, look at like the cracks in the clay. Everyone has its own feel. And there's another screenshot I took. Here's another one, Darkshore. But this is another one. I love Darkshore. Darkshore has some beautiful images. But this one I took, this one's really colorful. I took this one in Darkshore. Gorgeous, right? This is a game that came out in 2004, right? 2004, But here's the image that really is going to, I think should blow your guys' mind. And it's, well, this one's my AFK screen on Theramore Island. Here's one I took in Duskwood. Now, in Darkshire has its own feel to it too. Remember, it's always kind of dark and foggy, kind of like spooky. Like Darkshire has that kind of spooky feel to it. So that's why I think that's where World of Warcraft created this feel for the zones, and it made you feel like the world had a little bit of its own character, and it was kind of alive to some degree because every zone had its own kind of different feel to it and different mood. Like Darkshire's spooky, Westfall, for example, is just kind of happy sunny, right? Happy sunny. But then if you go to here to Darkshore, it's just very, I don't know, it's very kind of like elvish, it's like these elvish moonwells and pretty lights, you know, and lots of heavy woods, you know, with colorful trees. Very elvish. But the image I took that really kind of blew my mind after I took it was this one right here. This one. I mean, look at the colors, and this is Swamp of Sorrows. Look at the color, man. Look at how different this zone right here looks from almost any other zone in World of Warcraft. Like this when I took this picture, it kind of blew my mind. I was like, wow. I was like, it really shows you how WoW does a really great job of using the color palette, right? Like using a color palette to set up kind of a different feel. Like you can see we've got, you know, tones of gray and green and yellow, which kind of elicits that feel of being in a swamp. Because when you think of moss and dirt, and you think of like yellowy greens and stuff and browns, you know, because it's a swamp, right? And that's what this is. So, you know, so that is something that I think, and I posted this one in there today. Happy Halloween. That is, I think that's one of the things that make WoW still stand up to the test of time pretty well, is because those zones have their own kind of character. And I think a lot of MMOs don't do a very good job of this. In fact, most I think don't. So when if you've ever played an MMO where you feel like when you go from zone to zone, everything looks the same. Like, you know, it's just there's some trees and some grass, and it all kind of looks the same. You know, there's certainly zones that look different, but some MMOs do a better job of this than others. I would say that Terra actually did a pretty good job of this too, because in Terra the zones definitely had a different feel to them. You know what I mean? They definitely had a different feel. Guild Wars 2, definitely. Guild Wars 2, beautiful. I mean, I don't even know if I have screenshots of Guild Wars 2. I don't even know where it's installed. Let's see, Guild Wars 2. God, where would it be installed? Guild Wars. Do we have screenshots in Guild Wars 2? I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know if I took screenshots. Oh, no, they would be in my Steam. No, I don't play Guild Wars 2 through Steam. I play it through the app. But yeah, so, you know, so I think that, yeah, so when you look at, so the point I was trying to get at with going back to Ashes of Creation is when you watch Ashes of Creation, the videos, they are doing a really good job of making the different zones feel different. And so that I think is really encouraging. Like, look at this beautiful kind of colorful area. There was, you know, there's some other ones earlier in here, like this very foggy. And remember, this video is old. This is the first video I think they ever released, right? Look, sign up today and participate in the developer discussions. You know, official website forums. I mean, this is like the first. And it's funny because like when people comment, you know, that Ashes of Creation is like, thank you. Like we're quick to respond to comments. So that was like the first video of Ashes. And then look at the second one. And this one's titled Dungeon First Look Water Temple. Cat wants to jump in my lap here. Yeah, and this music's, I don't think is Ash's music. I think this is the composer B. It starts with the letter B, but I can't remember. But you can see how... Oh yeah, I've seen the Freehold video. I've seen the Freehold video, and it's pretty awesome, actually. The Freehold video is really good. Going around. And so this is like the quality of this is like mediocre. It's not bad. Like certain parts are pretty good. Like this, I think is really stupid. This like it looks like a corkscrew or something. I don't see the purpose of it. Is this some big drill? I don't know. It's kind of weird. And like these fire particle animations are pretty awful. Like if this is supposed to be like sparks from fire going up, it's not. They're not flowing naturally. It looks really wrong. And I guess they're supposed to just be different, but they're twisting. See how they're twisting? It's just kind of weird. Yeah. But some of it's cool. Like this thing on the wall is cool. The artwork is very cool. I like that. Candles look good. So when you look at these old videos on their channel, they're very promising in that there's a lot of interesting artistry to them. There's a lot of artistry to them. There's a lot of variation in colors. But what's really like, and then they did a Merry Christmas video. What's really funny is this one here, which is the first video where they showed like in-game, I think like in-game footage, or like of like gameplay. It is, and I remember watching this for the first time when it came out like 6 years ago, and I thought it looked a lot like EverQuest Next, believe it or not. If you guys ever seen EverQuest Next. But again, when you see it's beautiful. Like this is awesome. Like this is like Skyrim almost looking here. Like I love what they've done with the winter, and I think one of the greatest things that Ashes has done is the weather system. The weather system in Ashes is by far, if it works the way it appears to work, the way that they've demoed it, the way that they've talked about it, I think it's going to be by far the best weather system we've ever seen in an MMO. Because not only does the weather change, but it affects everything. Even the animals in the zone are affected by the weather changing, you know? So it's really cool. But yeah, the sound here, the snow, it's awesome. But this character model here looks so EverQuest Next. This looks so EverQuest Next. And I know I'm rambling, but that's just what I do. So if you go to EverQuest Next, do we even have here? Perfect. Look at this character model. This video is from, well, this says 2 years ago. But this was footage from EverQuest Next. Yeah. And see, so when I saw her running, see how this get very stiff. But when I saw that, it really reminded me of this. Although this is better, but look, watch, check this out. And so there's this like levitation field that she can create. Now this is pretty cool. I like this here. I think this is really neat. Some bizarre like, and I love the fact that she casts a light to illuminate the cave. I think that's amazing. I hope, now so when I watch these old Ashes of Creation video, I wonder, are these still going to be in the game because these are so old? I hope that this light is a real thing that does exist in the game. I hope so. This is pretty cool here. She's gonna fall through the floor. Watch this. I don't know what this is supposed to be. I do want to give kudos to this logo for these guys. I think this logo is phenomenal. It looks like a tree, like a roots of a tree, but the top part of the logo is like a phoenix, which is the transition of the roots of a tree, of like the tree of life, merged with phoenix, which is kind of the bird of resurrection. I think is a beautiful idea from an artistic point of view, and I think they did a really good job with that. So love the logo. I definitely will be buying some Ashes of Creation swag. If they have a T-shirt with this on the chest, I'm buying it. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. So that was that video, and this is the old video here. And so we've looked at these videos that all came out like 6 years ago. So let's move forward a little bit. And there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of videos to go through. I think looking even at the Intrepid Studios tour it's the game, it's so different. Like what the game is now it's come a long way. Let's take a look at this. Let's look at this diverse world video. And now they've got finally their own music. Yeah, that was their vision of the game, yep. Because these are old videos. But you can see here, this would be like a freehold, right? This is a freehold. So, I mean, a lot of one thing that is pretty clear to me is that I always talk about an MMO, and when you're an MMO maker and you're making an MMO, it's really true of any game, but you have to have core main tenets of the game. You say, when you're coming with the idea to say, I'm going to make a video game, you have to say, what are the core tenets? What are the core systems? If a player comes into my world and my game, what are they going to get out of it? What do I want them to get out of it? What do I want this game to be? What is the identity of this game? How does a person have fun when they play this game? What's fun? What kind of person do we want in our game? Like what's fun to some people isn't fun to someone else. So when you're making an MMO, you have to target specific things. You can't say, you can say this, but you're stupid to do so, to be like, well, I want my game to appeal to everybody. Well, that's just a stupid way to do it. You really need to focus on what are the core systems I want to put in place that I think are going to be fun for this specific type of MMO player. And you have to hold true to that vision. That's your vision, and you have to hold true to that vision throughout. And I can say that it seems like they have kind of, one of the things that you see when you go and you watch these old videos is that you can see that some of the same things that we saw in the videos that were released a couple of weeks ago are really appearing in these old videos. Like I said, this is obviously freehold right here. This is obviously a freehold. And if you go back, a lot of this is showing the weather system because we see a lot of variations in the weather, Yeah. Well, you have to be able to do that because to me, the most important part of an MMO, and I've said this many times, the most important part of the MMO is the world. The world is the most important part. The world is a character, and it's the primary character, and it's the most important character. If the world isn't fun to walk through, if it isn't fun to look at, then people just aren't going to stay in the game very long. They're not. If the world looks like Dora the Explorer, and you want to play a serious MMO, you're probably going to, it just isn't going to work. So the world has to be very good. It has to be very interesting and very fun to just walk around in. You have a problem with New World right now. Beautiful worlds to explore and cool combat, but absolutely trash at explaining the pipeline of new players, and the world keeps. But the world, yeah. Hey, Fat, how you doing, man? Yeah, New World's got a beautiful. New World's a beautiful game. I've talked about New World a lot of times when I played New World that the foliage in New World is some of the best I've ever seen. Although I think Justice Online is probably the best I've ever seen. But New World's up there in the top 5 best MMOs of all time as far as just the how well they did the plants and how well they did the trees. I mean, they're just beautiful trees and plants and flowers. And also the other thing that New World does really well is elevation. The topography of New World is really good. There's lots of hills and valleys, and a lot of MMOs, especially older ones, were more flat, you know, just because it was easier, I think, to make and less, you know, issues with, you know, characters' feet meeting the ground and that type of stuff. So New World does a really good job. Also, Guild Wars 2 is some of the best level design I've ever seen is Guild Wars 2. You want to talk about level design, Guild Wars 2 knocks it out of the park. You have entire levels of like pirate ships, you know, half in the water, half out, crashed. I mean, just some of the levels in Guild Wars 2 blow my mind. They're so good. Every time I go back to Guild Wars 2 and play it, even for just 10 minutes, I'm always blown away. Every single time. I'll like not have played New World or not have played Guild Wars 2 for like 2 years, and I'll step into the game, and my first thought is, wow, this game looks good. Even now, years and years later, you know, it was 2012, I think, when it came out. So, you know, 11 years later, I still can walk into that game and say, man, this looks good. You know? But yeah, I don't. So explaining the pipeline to new players, I mean, what is the pipeline in New World, though? I mean, really, like, it's a pretty simplistic game, but, you know, I haven't played it in a long time, so they've probably added a lot of stuff. They've probably added a lot of stuff to it, so I probably don't even know the pipeline now, Fat. But as far as Guild Wars 2, Guild Wars 2 is one of the games that you can come back to because, like, if you step away from Guild Wars 2 for 2 or 3 years, you can come back and pick it up and play it. And the game hasn't changed that much. That's one of the cool things about Guild Wars 2 is because the expansions didn't add new levels. They just added some new specializations. So it's not like, I mean, you're always like max levels the same. It's not like in World of Warcraft, if you played up to Wrath of Lich King and then you didn't play again until Shadowlands, you would be like, what the fuck? I mean, the game's so different. So different, you know? So they just added mounts. Maybe I'll play New World. I don't know when, but I might play it, like this upcoming week or something. But yeah, you can tell that even on this video that's like 6 years old, that a lot of the themes that they're shooting for in Ash's Creation are still there, you know. This video is like 3 minutes long. You can see the caravan system, you know, the weather system. Again, the caravans. Caravan system, cities. Yeah, and they just kind of rinse and repeat. Right. Anyways, we could go through, I mean, I could spend hours just going through all those videos, but it's an interesting exercise to do. If you guys are interested in Ash's Creation, if you haven't gone back and watched those videos, like those old ones from like 6 years ago, it's pretty interesting to watch. I think Alpha 2 is going to say a lot, and I wasn't going to spend any money, but this is the time of year. You know, I get my bonus next month, so I can afford to maybe spend, you know, $375. Although I don't really want to spend that much money because I also, on my bonus, I usually buy a couple Star Citizenships too. So here, let's go to the Play Store. I haven't looked at Star Citizen in a while. I know, I was kind of disappointed in how many bugs were still in the game the last time I tried to play a couple weeks ago. But let's go all ships. But I'm sure they've released probably a lot of ships in Star Citizen that I haven't seen. You know. Anyway, Star Citizen's another game. That's another story. But yeah, definitely Alpha 2 is going to be really interesting. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see, you know, how far along the game has come. I think it's going to be really good. I mean, I didn't play an Alpha 1, but I saw some of the footage, and it looked like a pretty really, really early state, you know, of the game. So I think I think this next alpha is going to be pretty cool. I mean, it feels like to me that Alpha 2 should be the last alpha. You know, like after Alpha 2, then we should be going. I mean, I think even if you look at the packages, it says so, right? See? You see access to future Alpha 2 test phase, then it says access to future Beta 1, Beta 2. So, I mean, it kind of tells you right here that Alpha 2 is going to be the last alpha. And that probably there's just going to be a Beta 1 and Beta 2. So if you look at it from that point of view, and let's say that they go, I'd say 6 to 8 months between these tests, probably. They should get fairly close together as you're getting between beta 1 and beta 2, because more of the game is complete. And from alpha 1 to alpha 2 was, I mean, how long was that? That was like a year and a half, wasn't it, or something? You wonder if they're the Ashes archetypes. Are you talking about the characters? Because I haven't really looked at that. Let's look at. I want to look at the shop too. Where's the characters at? Let's see. Man, this doesn't really... This isn't the best website because I don't... Where's the thing that just says about the game? Do I have to go to the forums to learn about the game? I want to see, like, the character matrix and stuff. I don't really see that on the website. Where's the class system at? Like, on the website. I don't really see it. Maybe it's like a wiki. Yeah, it's on their wiki. But is their wiki? Must be at the bottom of the page then. Let's see. What is this? Snapchat, YouTube. I don't know what that is. Yeah, you would think there'd be a link on their website for their wiki. Oh, that was their, Instagram. Yeah, I mean, I think the class system is certainly interesting, You've got... I mean, I like to play tanky characters, so... here it even says tank. Like, bard tank, argent, cleric tank, paladin. I mean, obviously I love paladins. I think spell shield is interesting. But, I mean, this system looks really, really exciting to me. Because I'm a big fan of the way Rift did their soul trees, which was basically, in Rift, think of the soul trees as basically, one of these things. Like a soul might be a bard soul, cleric soul, fighter soul, and then you had 3 slots, and you just would slot which souls you'd wanted. So you'd say, oh, I want to use the bard soul, the cleric soul, and the rogue soul, and that would be those 3 would make up your class. Well, this is kind of the same thing, but they're just primary, secondary, so it's a little bit less complicated. But there's a lot of options, right? Like summoner, tank, keeper. That's... How about... And then tank, guardian. Yeah, it's like DD multi-classing, yep. Definitely. But in D&D, once you switch, I think it's... once you go from one class to the next, the first class stops leveling. I don't really think you can ever start again. Although I haven't kept up with D&D's latest release, latest versions, but here's some of the abilities of the tank, right? The Aegis instantly dispels all negative effects on the caster. Grapple takes aim for a moment before hurling. Yeah, I actually saw the animation of that one. Grit, man, just a string, with thorns, or not thorns, bark skin, basically. Inciting strike / twice forward cone. This would be threat generation. This reminds me of the Terra ability. Bashes the target with your shield. One thing that disappoints me in MMOs is that when characters have a shield, I would like to see a lot more shield abilities. Like the one game that did such a great job, better than any game I'd ever played, of shield abilities is Alien, right? Oh my god, Aliens had the almost awesome shield abilities, right? So here's me streaming Alien for 7 hours and 50 minutes. I did an 8-hour stream. Yeah, and this is here, I want you to take a look at me playing Alien. But what I want you to notice is how many different types of shield attacks I'm doing. The combat in Alien was just awesome. I'm so disappointed this game was shut down, even though the game sucked. But the combat didn't suck. The combat was one of the best combats of any MMO. Come on, use your shield. That's the good old spin to win ability. But if you look down here, I've got a shield. I've got shield block, I think. I've got another shield. I have right here. There's 3 different shield abilities, and I think maybe another one. There's like so many different things you can do with your shield,
Fortuitous.
which is so cool. Yeah, the defense successful. Okay, so here let's see if we can get some of the shield abilities. Man, that's just like hammer smash. Spinning hammer, which is what you normally... The build with this character is... There's certain things you do to make it to spin that really quick. And when you spin, it actually pulls mobs into you. Now I'm just auto attack. There was a shield attack where I literally spin my whole body 360 degrees and then throw my shield forward. So cool looking. Look at this animation. Just, oh, this like shield defense, evade, like dodge, you know, evade, auto attack. Of course, the spin to win. It depresses me watching. It literally depresses me watching this because the combat in this game for this class was so good. I love the combat. Okay, hammer. Okay, just... You can see there I throw this ability forward. It's like throws this wave of force forward. Here we're doing our big smash, which does a knock-up effect. And there's just my spin. Here comes the shield attack. It's coming. No. Here it is. There it is. 360 spin, and I slam with my shield. Another shield attack. That was a shield slam. Yeah, I mean, just MMOs don't use the shield enough, but man, Alien did. Alien used the shield so many different ways. It was so awesome.
Okay, another shield ability, guys. Throw your shield, which flies to the front of the enemies, and...
Look, see, even in the video, I'm saying another shield ability, because I was so amazed. I was like, why don't we have more shield abilities in MMOs, right? Like in this one, like you can actually throw your shield too.
Throw your shield, and it...
I mean, well, just look at the skill tree, right? So look at the skill tree: shield toss, shield dash, shield strike. You know, there's just three abilities there.
Actually, it's the wrong keybind for it, though.
Oh man, I wish someone would come up with a private server for Alien. It'll probably never happen, man. Oh no, is there seriously an Alien private server? No fucking way. Oh my god. Alien Tech. I don't know. This is not it. This is not it. Download. Wait. I'm like a kid in the candies if I can play this game. Alien. Oh, Alien Client Part 1. Oh my god. Download all of them. Please download. Oh, I need an account. No, I don't even know what this is. Why is it giving me a code? Shit. No. You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh, that's the main Discord. Hold on a second. Copy. Well, if the Discord's not up, then we know we're screwed. No, here it is. 171 online. Okay, this is good. This is good. The server's up. There's 171 people online. Download the game. Yes. Oh, yeah. Create an account on our webpage. Download. How do I download it? Drop files. No, I don't want to drop files. This looks so weird. Here. This looks just like a folder though, right? Preparing download. Yeah, I don't think that's it. I don't think that download works. Option 2. Not recommended unless you have premium. Recommended. But there's nothing here. Yeah, see, there's no files here, man. No, there's nothing here, dude. Oh. Well, here, let's see. Yeah. Still can't log in. So it sounds like there's definitely some issues. I have the same problem. How to fix? You can try. Let's see. Well, that was one. So the good news is if there's one private server for Elion, that means there's probably more than one. You know what I mean? We just did a search and found one. Let's go ahead and let's just see, because if there's one, that means that the thing was late. Wow. It only came out 8 months ago. Here's the R. Oh, here we go. Here's the RAR file. We're downloading. One download in progress. 2 hours left. We got the RAR file. So yeah, if I can get this working, you guys know what I'll be playing, man. Anyways, yeah, Elion, like the game itself was really bad in that, like, the questing was the worst questing I've ever experienced. The story wasn't very good. It wasn't horrible, but the combat, just the combat was so good, and the world wasn't bad. The world was actually a pretty nice looking world. The graphics weren't amazing, but they were not bad. I mean, I think it's Unreal Engine. I believe it's Unreal Engine 4. So it might, But anyways, you can see I do have some videos of me playing in the Elion closed beta test 2 and doing some different stuff. So definitely a game that, just for the combat part of it is definitely fun. So. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna see if I can get the that server running, and if I can get the Elion server running, I'll stream that tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll probably end up streaming the Warlock, leveling the Warlock in WoW. But like I say, Elion's coming. Not Elion. I'm sorry. Ashes of Creation's coming. I think Ashes of Creation has the chance to be a really good game. I mean, just the systems alone, like the animal husbandry, the crafting, those systems look fantastic. The PvP side of it, I'm a little concerned with. The fact that not everybody can have a freehold is, I don't want to say it's concerning, but it's just, I'm hoping that I'll be able to have a freehold. It would suck if I couldn't get a freehold. So that would stink. So I'll have to do my due diligence to really figure out, maybe play in the betas. I don't know if they'll unleash or unlock those things in the betas so that people can kind of go through the process of trying to get a freehold in the beta. If that's possible, you definitely want to do that so you have a leg up when the game comes out, so you have an idea of actually how to do it, because not everybody can have one. So there's going to be a mad rush just like a land rush in Arcade. You know, everybody's going to be rushing to try to get get a piece of land and get a freehold because you've got to unlock a specific quest and you got to do the quest to get some sort of like a voucher that you use to give to then bid on it. I think even the voucher only lets you bid on the land. I'm not sure. But Ryan, Fat, anybody in the stream, thanks for stopping by. I'll be streaming a ton in the future. You know, we're just really looking for a good new game to sink our teeth into. I mean, once we find one of those games, you know, I'll be streaming a lot more regularly. I might even start streaming on Twitch just for the hell of it, just to try to get more viewers. You know what I mean? I'm gonna head off to bed. First edition when it releases might be a madhouse. Yeah, no problem, Ryan. Anytime, man. Yeah, I think it'll be a madhouse. I mean, are you kidding? Ashes is gonna be a nightmare on the first year release of Ashes will be it'll be crazy. It'll just be crazy. Like my prediction for release is gonna be, you know, November 2025, but based on, I think it could be longer, just because I think Steven's one of those people that likes to make sure that things are done right, which is a really good thing. So that could push the release out like another year. So I'm going to say best case scenario, November 2025. But if Steven's really pushing to make the game, you know, really high polish, it might get pushed out to maybe like November 2026. Or yeah, and which is fine. You know, we've waited 10 years for a good MMO. I guess we can wait another 2 or 3. Although I'm not getting any younger, man. I'll catch you guys. I will catch you guys later. Hopefully we can get the Elion working. That would be, I'm so glad I did a search for that. That would be super amazing if we could get that working. And I will catch you guys in the next stream, man. Take care, everybody. Peace out.